So Nvidia just announced their brand new GPU Blackwell, and it's a huge game changer in the world of AI. Today, I want to talk a little bit about what that means and how it's going to impact you and some speculation on what this does for the future. Let's get into the video. All right, so why is this important? The Blackwell chip is estimated to be 25 times less expensive to operate than its predecessor, the Hopper. It has 208 billion transistors. And what makes this even more beautiful is that it's very easy for companies to simply slide out the old and slide in the new. Now, some of the challenges that we've had in AI production now is it's not exactly the cheapest thing to do. It can be expensive to run all these models, to train the models, and to go through trillions of different data sets almost instantly. And I think that the Blackwell is a big game changer as it accelerates the speed by 25 times. Another issue is the cost. You know, these GPUs, they can run hot. And by GPU, I mean graphic processing unit. But these things run hot, so it takes an immense amount of energy to keep them cool. By running 25 times more efficiently, I mean, it's going to tremendously reduce your cost. So any company that's developing AI models, tech models in general, it's going to see a significant reduction in the operating expense. Overall, huge day in the world of AI, and it's going to accelerate these models tremendously quickly as video and strategy and data analysis become more and more important in this AI race. This is a big change. So let me speculate a little bit about some other things that are really important. The vast majority of these chips are produced in Taiwan. And if you may or may not be aware, this is a pretty exposed, vulnerable place to be. Taiwan is right next to China. If China did decide to make a move and take Taiwan, it would effectively cut off Nvidia and these Blackwell processors off at the knees, which is obviously a pretty scary place to be if you are, you know, an American or someone in the Western world, but it's also a scary place to be if you're in Nvidia specifically, because if you lose your processing and manufacturing power, that's obviously an issue. Now, they do have some manufacturing here in the United States, specifically in Arizona. But one of the things that CEO and founder Jensen Huang had mentioned was, hey, we need to diversify where our chips are being manufactured, because again, you know, if that's an exposure, like if you're the world's largest developer of microchips and then all of a sudden you lose 90% of your production capacity, that's a big problem. And quite frankly, this is not investment advice, but it makes me a little bit leery to invest in a company like Nvidia right now. You know, I'm not really like a buy high, sell low type of person. Nvidia is one of the largest stocks in the world, at least in the top 5, top 7. It's one of the big 7. But you know, if China becomes more aggressive at the end of this presidential campaign or going to the next presidential cycle, if they decided to take Taiwan, for example, obviously that's going to cut off Nvidia by the knees. That would be a big deal. The other thing that I think is important on this channel, what I really try to focus on is how can you actually use AI in your business, in your daily life? How can we adapt it? I'm not a super technical guy. I'm an entrepreneur. I have a business. I'm creative. I have a podcast agency. We launch and automate podcasts for business owners, but I'm not I'm not a software engineer. All I know is that the AI tools, the tech tools, and building this tech stack is becoming more and more accessible than ever before. I'm using AI in my business, all sorts of places. We're using tech in my business, all sorts of places. And I want it to be more accessible to you, to the average person, the person that's maybe not a software engineer. Okay. But what I think is going to be really important to notate here is that with these new microchips, AI is going to become far less expensive and far easier for you to use. You know, you could use AI to generate better prompts. You know, you're going to be able to use AI to develop websites and build out code very, very easily. There's another company that just released Devin. Cognition AI just released Devin this week and announced that it can write like all the code for your entire website, for your entire tech stack. You just ask it to do it and it will do it. So by the way, any coders watching, beware. This is going to really impact your job market. It's going to help you be much more productive. But if you're not one of the productive ones, you could be in trouble. Regardless, what how does this AI work? All the AI in your tech stack is going to be driven off of tokens that you purchase. And if it costs me $20 in tokens to perform several tasks now, it might cost a quarter of that within the coming months, which makes it much more accessible. And I think this is really important for you as a working professional, as a business owner, someone who's trying to put food on your family's plate. If you're not like adapting this stuff now, and you're going to be in trouble because your competitors are, and because it's more accessible and because it's less expensive to operate, they're going to become much more competitive. So it's really important that you start paying attention using this stuff now. The other thing that I think is interesting here is cryptocurrency. So without going to all the specifics on how cryptocurrency works, just know that GPUs like the Blackwell chip are what power cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is valuable because someone solves a code, inserts that code onto the blockchain. So without getting super technical here, this is going to reduce the cost, the energy cost, the processing cost of cryptocurrency tremendously, which has been one of the big gaffes. It's one of the things that environmentalists really like to attack cryptocurrency on, is it just takes a lot of energy to process. And with the Blackwell chip reducing the energy cost, all of a sudden cryptocurrency becomes a lot easier to use. It becomes a lot less expensive to use. So is this going to be like a cryptocurrency boom? Is AI in the Blackwell GPU going to really power resurgence of the blockchain? It's something to watch out for. It's something to certainly watch out for. Again, not investment advice, but I've been pretty hot on Bitcoin for a while. But again, all these other coins start to become more attractive as these Blackwell chips and the cost of solving the codes becomes much, much, much less expensive and much more powerful. And then the last thing I want to say here is that, the other thing that I think we need to look out for is the data that's used to train these models. Really, AI is limited by two things: the computational power, which is being solved by companies like Nvidia and the Blackwell chips. And it's also limited by the training data that trains the large language model, that trains the AI. Is the AI being trained off of everything on Twitter X? Is it being trained off of YouTube? Is it being trained off of Facebook? Is it trained off of journalistic companies like the New York Post or the New York Times, or et cetera, et cetera? So the other thing that's really starting to pop up now is there are arguments and lawsuits. OpenAI is being sued all over the place, but companies are being sued based on the data they're using. Is it allowed? Is it fair use? Are they licensing it? Companies are stating that, hey, you can't use the likeness of our characters in your production. So there's, I think, a lot to be figured out in this regard, and I have zero faith in our politicians in DC to solve this, because this is a fairly complicated thing. And in my experience, politicians are not normally our brightest, let's just say. No offense if you're a politician, but this stuff is a little bit complicated. And I think that these are things that you really want to be looking out for in your life and in your business now, in your investments. You want to be thinking about how AI is going to be impacting industry. But I will say that this is very, very important. If you have not yet, leave a comment below, like, subscribe, share this video if you found it informative, and I will keep bringing you the best stuff. All right, see you later. Peace.